Kulima kwenye milimile last year kutani ngohola fa kulima kako kubona halile chincheho yevile teni kakuli kulima kwenye ulima kwa makalemo ni ulima handi na kupula ingesa bakale kuchinche hantu chenji nto nako ya kuchinja lifasi ingesa chincha kali chwele hauto fitakana kwa yakuli kukala last year kulani sio handi lizazine lingata kutahani ngohola lizazine litoba lingata ni pula ono pula nitiloba abungata kwa mapelelezo chwele kinane utuo kumana kulima kwenye ulima kwenye ruzwa kama alirwa apili ko ilukuturanga utufitafa hali pa mwama 2022 ni 2023 ni kusina.
In the rural parts of Zambia, hope is slowly taking root. Communities that have long struggled with the unpredictable forces of nature are discovering new ways to live in harmony with their environment. Through knowledge, unity, and collective action, ordinary farmers are finding extraordinary solutions, adapting to a climate that has challenged generations. Today, we journey into these communities to witness their resilience, innovation, and determination to secure a better future.
The JCTR is a ministry. It is a project of the Society of Jesus in the Southern Africa province of the Society of Jesus. The JCTR began quite a few years ago. We started in 1988, then as a project of what was referred to as Zambia, Malawi province. Our vision really is a just Zambian society guided by faith where everyone enjoys the fullness of life. Our mission is to enhance justice and equality for all, especially the poor and the marginalized, and the care for the environment. So we do that through understanding issues that are pertinent and that are current. We do that through research. We do that through education. We do that through advocacy. And of course, in doing that work, we partner with many institutions within the church, but also outside of the church in Zambia and globally. Talking about care for the environment and partnership, we have partnered with Misereor of Germany on a project termed or called Community Action on Climate Change Adaptation and Environmental Management.
For over 3 decades, JCTR has championed the cause of social justice and environmental stewardship. Recognizing that climate change hits the poorest hardest, the organization seeks not only to understand the issues, but to empower communities with practical solutions. From remote villages to national policy dialogues, JCTR acts as a bridge between knowledge, action, and impact.
We are working on this project because we know that climate change has adverse effects, especially on the poor and the marginalized. For Zambia, most of our rural community, our brothers and sisters, where we are saying 70% and more of our brothers and sisters live, depend on subsistence farming. They sell part of what they produce. And so what has happened is that changes in climate, have affected rainfall and also have an effect directly on production, crop production.
As a Jesuit institution, we had the mandate to implement a project that spoke to environmental management, good environmental management. And so with support from Misereor, we did get funding to implement a project that is called Community Action on Climate Change Adaptation and Environmental Management. and this is being implemented in 3 provinces of Zambia, Swapura. It's also being implemented in Western Province as well as in Southern Province. So the goal of the project is to empower community members to be able to advocate for climate change adaptation policies. And this project basically has got 2 objectives. And so the best objective that the project has and what we want to see as JCTR is that there's increased engagement between the duty bearers, that's government officials, the community members who are the rights holders, as well as policymakers, parliamentarians, to have engagement around climate change adaptation and environmental management. The second objective is to train these communities to be able to utilize indigenous knowledge towards climate change adaptation and environmental management.
By combining modern knowledge with traditional wisdom, JCTR enables communities to regain control over their livelihoods, strengthen food security, and influence policies that affect their future. Every meeting, every training, and every seed planted is a step toward resilience and dignity.
If you look at Wapura province, on one hand, it receives a lot of rainfall. So for them, issues of climate change is basically around flooding. And so if you look at Western and Southern, on the other hand, issues affect them is drought. The farmers would spend so much money, invest in farming, but the output of that agriculture period would be very bad. The yield would be low, which then condemn these communities into poverty at household level, issues of food security, but they're also not able to sell because their lifestyle or livelihood is around them cultivating, selling this, getting an income to be able to send children to school, but also just purchase other household commodities that they cannot derive from agriculture.
The climate crisis is not abstract here. It is lived daily. Crops fail, water sources dry, and livelihoods teeter on the edge. Families face hunger, children are at risk of missing school, and the cycle of poverty is intensified. These challenges highlight why local action, informed by evidence and supported by partnerships, is crucial for survival and sustainable development.
Mazuba inda nibagata inasika ba JCTR iluyo titwaka ina luziba twakali kulima ichindi chitwakali kulima tetwakali kutevula pe alimwi twakalunga kushanga tushanga mu January yatalika mvula iya kuwa takwe twamana kulima ng'ombe twalima ng'ombe twamana twashanga twamana kushanga andiza mputubikira fertilizer ng'ombe yati imvula yayinka so kuzwani bakasika ba JCTR bakatuyisya kuti kulandika kusya tulindi kulandika kupesya tulipa ikutegwa imvula yanobola imudumo kautamani nini kamote duti kakuli tulindi mwashanga mutulindi amvula ilakalira mudumo taumani maningi akutebula kulaba butebuzi so kuzwa chindi ni bakatuyisya biyo mbutwede kulima twakatebula kamote duyo twakalubona tuliyo ndubakatwetera ndubo tutulindi twakaiya ikutusya alimwe akushanga alimwe chino chili futwambira twakatebula amapopwe tulijisi.
The first steps that we've taken is to build the capacities of this community that we're working in the 3 provinces that I mentioned, in the 6 districts, to build their capacity, first of all, on what is climate change. They needed to understand what climate change is. What are the causes of climate change? When we started, we'd ask them, what do you think are the main causes of climate change? And sometimes they'll tell you that this is an act of God. So already you could say there's a knowledge gap on what causes this climate change. So we did educate them, build their capacity on what are the causes, so that they're able to appreciate how their day-to-day activities are actually contributing to climate change, and for them to understand that the impact that we're living with now today are not impacts that started last year. It's been an activities over the years that have contributed to this. So if they're able to understand what causes that, then they'll be able to know how do we mitigate this, the mitigation measures, how do we mitigate climate change at community level. Adaptation, how do you adapt? If you're in Mongu, which is possibly more drier than the upper Wapura area, how do you adapt to climate change? So we did train them also in adaptation strategies. What kind of agriculture do you need to practice? The smart agriculture. What sort of crops can you possibly engage into? So we did also train them in drought-resistant crops. as a way of ensuring that they adapt to climate change, but also, policies governing climate change and environmental protection in Zambia. We did a training for our communities in these policies, as well as advocates. There's nothing for them without them. So we're building their capacity in advocacy, in lobbying, and after that, then we create platform of engagement where we call different local state institutions at district level to have a conversation with these communities and farmers, how best we can work together to ensure that these communities are adapting. So if they're able to speak for themselves, we facilitate the engagement, they speak for themselves.
Education here is transformative. By understanding the causes of climate change and learning practical ways to adapt, farmers are embracing techniques that ensure both their survival and the sustainability of their environment. Indigenous seeds are revived, crop diversity is increased, and communities are cultivating not only food, but knowledge, hope, and resilience.
Engaging in the project has been really revealing for us as an institution. And so through going to the communities, we actually get to know what is really happening. So that has been really revealing to us. We've seen how devastating changes, the cycles that have changed in our climate, how that just reduces crops to nothing. But we've also seen hope. We've seen hope, listening to how the resilience that the farmers have shown. They want to make this work. They want to adapt to climate change.
Partnerships with government ensures that local actions influence national strategies. Ministries of green economy and agriculture participate in field meetings, learning from farmers and collaborating to enhance climate resilience policies. This interaction creates a feedback loop where community experience shapes governmental decision-making.
As JCTR, we are working very closely with the Ministry of Green Economy. We did engage them on what the works that we're doing, and there's been a lot of consultations going on between ourselves and the ministry on sharing what we feel could better respond to issues of climate change and environmental management. We have 2 members of parliament that have been assigned, 3 rather, that have been assigned to the project by the Speaker of the National Assembly to work with JCTR. So these members of parliament are ambassadors on our project, and they are, we are working with them, consulting us on issues that they can present on the floor of the House.
We are hoping that the government can, after listening to the community, that we ourselves, working with the government, working with various partners, especially, Misereor on this project, that we can then work towards framing and implementing policies that respond or that help, our farmers, our communities be resilient, so that we get this right. And as I said, everybody can enjoy the fullness of life and their dignity can be protected, and the dignity of the environment, of course.
Through dialogue with parliamentarians, local voices reach the halls of national power. By integrating community experiences into legislation, the project ensures that climate policies are rooted in reality, addressing the needs of those most affected.
Climate change is more than an environmental crisis. It is a moral and socio-economic challenge. It disproportionately affects the poor, the marginalized, and voiceless. This partnership embodies the spirit of climate action, uniting government, civil society, faith-based organizations, and the wider public in a shared mission to safeguard our environment and strengthen Zambia's resilience to climate change.
Monitoring and evaluation are the backbone of project accountability. By systematically tracking crop yields, household food security, and policy engagement, JCTR ensures that every intervention is assessed, refined, and improved. Communities witness tangible results, strengthening trust and encouraging long-term adoption of climate-smart practices.
So we ensure sustainability in that we are a Catholic organization. So in all these areas that I've mentioned, in the 6 districts, we are working with the churches available in those areas as a way of ensuring this project is sustainable beyond us. through the church structures, we'll be able to monitor how these communities are doing. But we've also ensured that part of the community action groups that we formed in this district are part of key local structures like WDCs, and are able to, attend meetings called by the state to ensure that the voices of the communities are heard. The other sustainability measure we've taken is to ensure that traditional leadership in these areas is aware of the project and they are part of the project. If it comes from the traditional leaders, to encourage the constituents in their chiefdoms on environmental management and climate change adaptation, people tend to take that up. So also working with the traditional leadership to ensure that there's sustainability beyond the 3 years of the project.
The impact is profound. Families are no longer at the mercy of unpredictable weather. Nutrition improves, income stabilizes, and the environment is restored. Communities have become active agents of change, demonstrating that resilience is possible when knowledge, practice, and partnership converge.
We used a lot of chemicals like chemical fertilizers, even spraying, killing the pests. But with the coming of the JCTR team to work together in line with the climate change adaptation and mitigation measures, we switched off to use the environmentally friendly inputs like manure. We use manure. We stopped using fertilizer. Why? Because we learned that we need also to care nature.
Iba JCTR uzani bakatuyisya irujincho rwakaba ikuindaka indi mbuto ali kutebola. So ichi ndi chitu akatarika kutebola bakatuyisya kuti tulindi katulibesya tulindi. Inokuzwa chindi nthu akaperesya tulindi. Alimwe akuperesya tumalipa. Iyi kutebula tulasika masakani za 10, 15, 20 jiyama hekta ngwa ashanga. Mazubano inzalata ikope tulatebula ikuindaka indi mbuto akali kulima. Kwendani aluyo ndi bakatuyisya. So tulirumbide mu kuti ba JCTR ndi bakasika. Bakatuyisya iruyo ololwa katupa lusumpuko mu bumi bwesu amuchoko mulindiswe.
These voices tell the story of resilience, hope, and transformation. Through their own words, we see how knowledge, support, and innovation have reshaped lives, strengthened livelihoods, and empowered communities to face the challenges of a changing climate.
My word is a word of gratitude on behalf of the poor farmers, the marginalized farmers. Really, Misereor coming on board, supporting this project. The government, partnering with us, working with us, as I said, through interface meetings, them inviting us, we inviting them to these conversations with the community. Now that is working. It is really working well, and it goes to show another value that we believe in as an institution, as a JCTR, the importance of solidarity.
Climate change is real, but together, communities, institutions, and governments can transform challenges into opportunities. Through shared knowledge, innovative solutions, and enduring partnerships, a sustainable, resilient, and dignified future is possible for all.